What?
You're gonna lift it straight up.
Yep.
Everybody sees it at the same time.
Friend, we are so excited to find out that we are expecting our second. And as of right now, I am 14 weeks pregnant and we could not be more excited. Josh and I knew the gender of the baby going into what you are about to watch is a huge dinner party that I have been planning for months, well before I found out I was pregnant, because all of my siblings were going to be in the same area. So I wanted to have them over for a dinner on my lawn. And what you're going to watch is me preparing this delicious feast to serve to my family. And last minute, Josh and I decided that this would be the perfect time to do a little gender reveal party. We did not do this with our first, and this is probably going to be our last. And so we thought, why not, since all of our family is going to be here today, let's go ahead and do a little gender reveal. So you are going to watch me cook up a feast, set a beautiful table, and surprise my family and you all with what the gender of our second baby is. We could not be more excited. So I hope you enjoy what you're about to watch. Happy Friday. Welcome to my kitchen. If you're new, my name is Becky, and today is the day before a massive, well, I shouldn't say massive, not the biggest dinner party I've had, but there's gonna be 17 people at my house tomorrow for dinner. And today is the day before that. If you've been here for any length of time, you know, I'm gonna leave that out because we're gonna need that. You know that I like to have dinner parties and I like to feed the ones I love. And tomorrow I'm gonna have every member of my immediate family over here for dinner because my sister is in town and I don't like to give up the opportunity to host people and have a wonderful dinner at my house. Even though we've been spending a lot of time together, mostly at my parents' house, I want to feed everyone out on my lawn tomorrow, and it's supposed to be beautiful. So we have a huge menu we are making today. We've got, well, let me just show you. Our main is going to be a braised beef. It's completely different than any way I've done it before. This is the name of the recipe. We're going to do warm pitas, garlic green beans. This is a special type of potato, and I'm really excited to try this recipe. I'm actually going to serve it on a tahini yogurt sauce. We are going to make, I don't know why I put creamy garlic sauce. It's supposed to be toom, which is a kind of like a garlic aioli. We are going to do 2 desserts, devil's food cake, a plum tart, some drinks, and then these are all the activities I need to do. Here's the guest list. We have 9 adults, 8 kids, age range from 12 to 1, and we're gonna need 1 high chair. I put this here because I want to know how many place settings I need to set out. The 1-year-old is gonna be in a high chair, so I don't need to make sure I have a place setting out for them. I'm grabbing all my pots and pans. We are going to be making some delicious food here, and I'm going to be using so many dishes today. I love when I have big dinner parties, if I'm going to be cooking a lot of the food, to do most of the food the day before so that I can make my kitchen a mess, clean it, and the day of the dinner party, I don't have to stress as much about cooking and cleaning. There still will be quite a bit of heating through, and we're going to make the pita breads tomorrow, but most of the work is going to be done today. Normally, when I do a big dinner party like this, I think through each recipe, because each of these recipes has multiple components, and I usually write down what I'm going to do day 1, day 2, day of the party, blah, 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 blah. Life has been very crazy. We had 2 one-week family vacations within a 3.5-week span. We came down with a little summer cold, my family, and so just even coming up with these recipes yesterday, because I finalized the menu yesterday, was about as much as I could get to. So I need to think through, I'm gonna braise this beef. I wanna braise it in my enamel cast iron, so I'm gonna cook the potatoes in this. I even have like 5 more recipes printed off that are not on the menu that I might get to. We'll just have to see, because I had a hard time like paring it down, and if I don't make the recipes today, I'm gonna make them in the future because they all sounded really good. So these are some homegrown potatoes. I need to get these washed, and then we're gonna get these in here on the pot. I want my stove working for me. Normally I start with making the desserts, but today for some reason I feel like starting with making the sides and the main dish. So let me pull out my 2 recipes for my potatoes and my braised beef. Beef is going to be cooked in this one. Potatoes are going to be cooked in this one. Peel your potatoes and chop into small cubes. Place into a saucepan, cover with water, and boil. So we're going to actually roast these potatoes, but before we roast them, we have to wash them and blanch them so we can get a nice crunchy crust on the outside. I just finished washing my potatoes and I realized I forgot I'm completely out of dish towels. I washed them last night, I dried them. I'm not even gonna fold them. I'm just gonna put them in this drawer because knowing me, I will probably go through all those dish towels today, so it's not worth folding them. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these washed up. A couple, not washed up, peeled up. A couple of my potatoes that I grew in my garden have I think it's a virus, or it's just something that can affect potatoes, and it's called scab. It just makes them very unsightly. Totally fine to eat. So I'm glad this recipe called to peel the potatoes because there's like 6 in here that need to be peeled anyway. So I've washed them once because these are homegrown potatoes. They come out of the garden, very dirty. So I'm gonna peel them and then I'm gonna wash them again. I have a few more potatoes that if once I peel these, I don't think it's enough, I will go ahead and peel a few more. I'm not sure why, because all these potatoes came out of the same garden bed, why some of them got the disease on it and some didn't. But you can see once they're peeled, I'll show you up close. I'll rinse it off first because there is some dirt on it. You can see it's a perfect, beautiful potato. It just kind of has a rough skin. And some of these potatoes, when I was scrubbing them, it almost looks like I scrubbed all the skin off because these are really young potatoes. They still have about probably 2 or 3 weeks they need to spend out in the garden thickening up their skin. And I didn't cure them because I harvested them yesterday. So with new potatoes, you can usually just kind of scrub off the skin almost entirely. When I harvested these yesterday, I thought they were all Yukon Golds, but it looks like I've got a couple different varieties of potatoes in here, which will make for a very flavorful potato dish. Okay, I'm gonna get these washed up. I'm gonna compost this, but I'm just gonna compost it in my woods. I am not gonna put this in compost that I would return back to my garden because some of those potatoes had that skin problem, and I don't want, in case that's still living on these potatoes, I don't want to reintroduce that to more of my garden. I don't know if it's just me or does peeling potatoes always feel like it takes forever, much longer than it should. Every time I peel potatoes, I kind of forget how long it takes. So what I'm gonna do, I have to figure out what size I want these potatoes to be. I have a vision. We're gonna make a creamy white sauce for the bottom of the platter. We're gonna have these peppery, smoky, roasted, crunchy potatoes on the top. And then I think we're supposed to toss those roasted, crunchy, peppery, smoky potatoes in herbs. So the herbs aren't going to be cooked, but the heat of the potato will kind of just soften them just a little bit. So it's gonna be white, red, and green. It's gonna be beautiful. But I kind of have to decide what size potatoes. Do I wanna do like bigger pieces or do I want cubes? It's gonna be pretty with the 2 different color potatoes, I think. I kind of like the idea of them almost being in spear form. This is not what the recipe calls for, but I am kind of making this recipe up. Not totally, but I am gonna do things a little different than the inspiration recipe I found. Would that look pretty like this on a platter? One of my goals is to try to get better at plating. And so that's why I'm trying to think through this now, because the way that I shape these potatoes is gonna affect the way they look on the platter. Does that look pretty? If they were all kind of, yeah. My vision for this recipe was actually to use fingerling potatoes, but I didn't have enough out of my garden. And I did run to the grocery store to get some items that I needed, and they didn't have any at the grocery store. So at least the grocery store I went to. I could have gone to multiple grocery stores, but I was tired last night and going to multiple grocery stores was not on my agenda. And plus I already had these potatoes out of the garden, so I would rather use these. So what we're gonna do is go with this shape, and we're gonna kind of mimic the fingerling potato look. As I'm cutting these potatoes, friend, I'm just filled with gratitude that you're here hanging out with me in my kitchen. Because you're in my kitchen, I get to play with recipes and have fun, and I get to grow produce and cook for people I love. And I just want to say a heartfelt thank you for being here, because I love doing this and I love that I get to share with you, and it's because you're here, you invite me into your home. I get to spend my day cooking for my family. So thank you for being here. I know I say that at the end all the time, but I truly, truly appreciate you. The recipe says these need to come up to a boil, and we're gonna boil them for 10 minutes. I'm probably gonna check them at 5 and see how well they're doing, because I don't want them overcooked. I just want that outer layer cooked. Now this recipe says we need to make the kind of spicy, smoky sauce that's gonna go on them. For this recipe, we parboil the potatoes and then we roast them with oil, or you can air fry them. And then when they're almost done, they only have about 5 minutes left, you stir them with this sauce that we're gonna make. And I'm gonna make the sauce now because I don't wanna have to do it tomorrow. I was reading through my recipes and a lot of them call for garlic. So I'm gonna stop before I make the sauce. I got a pot out to make the sauce for the potatoes. And I'm gonna make our garlic, it's called, I thought I printed the recipe, but I didn't. This is one of my sister's favorite sauces, Toum, Toum, Lebanese garlic sauce. It is so good if you've never had it. It takes about 15 minutes, but I need a cup of garlic peeled, plus I need tons of garlic for tons of other recipes. So to be totally transparent with you, I bought peeled garlic. This on the back of the package says grown and packed in the USA. So I'm gonna trust their word for it. And yes, I do have tons of homegrown garlic, but I need so much garlic today that I wasn't gonna be peeling this much garlic today. I will set aside probably an entire afternoon to peel all the garlic that I grew, but today or yesterday was not that day. So we're gonna help ourselves by buying some pre-peeled garlic. I'm gonna measure out 1 cup for our garlic sauce. And then the rest of this garlic, I'm gonna go ahead and just chop up, and I'll freeze it. And then I do need to make some roasted garlic for the yogurt sauce. So I have my oven preheating to 400. Let me get some more of this . I'm using the back of my knife to do that. I probably should get a spatula out. So this is the chopped garlic we'll use for the rest of these recipes. That's probably more than enough. And then this garlic I'm gonna freeze in about 1 tablespoon measurements. This is gonna go into the freezer. I've got some good yummy olive oil here. I'm gonna pour over these garlic cloves. It's probably pretty full there. I probably should not have filled it that full. Maybe we'll take a couple out because I kind of want all these garlic cloves in the oil. You know what I should do? I should put that on a cookie sheet. Otherwise that's going to be impossible when that's boiling to get that out of there. I put some parchment paper so if it boils over, it's not going to make a huge mess. That's probably going to take an hour. I'm going to set my timer for probably 7 minutes. I wanted to get this project and this project done in the food processor first, because now that this is covered in garlic, it doesn't matter because we're going to make our toom in here. And I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. So what we're gonna do, this is gonna take about 15 minutes. So we're gonna start by chopping this up really fine. I have made this once, and it was before Josh and I were married, so probably 11 years ago. And I remember it being a very, very slow process. Now that this is super, super fine, I'm gonna add 2 pinches of salt, 1, 2. And then I'm gonna slowly, 1 to 2 tablespoons at a time, but drizzle, not dump, oil in here. I'm using a neutral flavored oil. This is avocado oil. You can use whatever you prefer. Can you see how little at a time I'm adding? While that's doing that, I'm going to juice a lemon. I've now had my food recycler for about 2 months, I think. You could probably tell me better. I love this thing. If you're new to this, it can take your food scraps, it grinds them up, it recycles them. You can either send them back to the company and they turn it into chicken feed, or you can dump it in your garden. That's what I do. I did not put my potato peels in here because I don't want that virus or disease in my potatoes to infect more of my soil. But anything else can go in here. I love this thing. I can link it down below for you. It's called The Mill. You can rent it or you can buy it. This is a rental that I happen to have here. But I might end up buying it because I love this thing. And if I ever remodel my kitchen, I want to find a permanent home for it. So we're far away from this being done, but that's what it's looking like. It's starting to emulsify. That's my timer for my potatoes. I'm gonna get those off and I'm gonna get this on though first.
It's going to take a long time for this to be done. We want to make sure we emulsify it and the sauce doesn't split, because what we're trying to do is emulsify oil, lemon juice, and garlic together. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to just kind of go around my kitchen and get some other projects done that you are going to see. And I wanted to talk to you about the pregnancy. So I didn't know that we were going to be announcing it in this video when I started it. That's why I wasn't really talking about it, but I want to talk about it here with you now. So the next video you are going to see is actually me finding out, me telling Josh, and all of that good stuff. So there will definitely be a lot more about it here to come. And we are just so excited. And we just thought very last minute that this would be the perfect time. We did some blood work because of my age, and in that blood work, we were able to find out the gender. This is probably going to be our last, and so we just thought it would be fun to take the opportunity to do a little gender reveal and do something a little different than we did with our first. I know I don't talk about my son very much because he is the most important thing in our lives, and we just want to keep his life private, and that's why we have decided to, keep his, face and his information, kind of off of the channel. But I will share some of the pregnancy because that is my story, and we are just so excited because our son is our most favorite and precious thing in life, and we can't wait to have another one. So if I've seemed a little tired lately, that is why, and I will kind of go over finding out all the way through the first trimester in the next video. So here we have our potatoes. I probably overcooked them just a little bit. I was a little worried that they were going to turn into mashed potatoes, but they end up becoming super, super crunchy. This is a new technique to me. I've done it a couple other times and I really, really like it, where you parboil the potatoes, you kind of shake them up a little bit. You get those starches kind of, I don't know what the word is, but the starches kind of get crusty on the outside of the potato, and it makes for a super, super crunchy outside and a tender inside when you roast them. And what I'm going to do is let those potatoes cool, and then I'm going to wrap them up. I did research that it is okay to par cook potatoes, wrap them up, and refrigerate them without putting anything on them. They will not turn brown. I was a little worried about that, but you can prep potatoes in advance. For another dish I decided to make last minute, which I'll talk to you more about, I needed a bunch of onions, so I got those peeled and partly cut through. And for our main dish, we need a lot of shallots. So I'm going to start cutting and peeling these shallots. I'm going to keep the shallots whole. And as I'm going around the kitchen, working with the potatoes, working with the onions, working with the shallots, I'm slowly drizzling in about a tablespoon of oil. And then I go from the oil, I let it emulsify, and then I go and add a little bit of the lemon juice. I end up adding a total of 2.5 cups of oil and 1/2 cup of lemon juice. I think I'm gonna call this done. I'm gonna give it a taste test. Whoa. Spicy, garlicky, delicious. Wow. I did mix in that 1/2 cup of lemon juice, and I got about 2.5 cups of oil, and I don't want to push it anymore. I'm going to get this into the dish I'm going to serve this in. Now we officially have one recipe done. If you've never had this before, it's so good. I haven't had it in a long time. New Seasons, the grocery store by us, carries it if you want to buy it already pre-made, if you don't want to make it. But you saw how easy that was. Just took a few minutes. Okay, I'm gonna cover this. I'm gonna get this in the refrigerator, and then I'm gonna finish prepping what we need for our next 2 dishes we're gonna work on, and then we will be back, and I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do next. But this is gonna take me a few minutes just to do some prep work. I didn't want this to split, because that took me so long. So you can see how nice and thick it is. It'll actually hold its shape. So I'm gonna pop this in the fridge once covered, and our garlic. My potato situation for 19 people, even though a bunch of them are kids, it just didn't seem like quite enough. And one of the recipes that I had printed off that I really wanted to make, because I've been wanting to make it forever, is stuffed onions. So when I saw that, I thought, you know what, we're gonna go for it. The stuffed onions don't look very hard. I'm adding another recipe to the list. Now I have 6 pounds of chuck roast here. I'm gonna get these cut into decent sized pieces. I'm going to go through the effort of cutting off any big fatty bits. Then I'm gonna get all of this beef seasoned in my bowl, and then we're gonna start browning it. These fatty bits, I will give some to the chickens because they will go bananas for it. And I love feeding them yummy treats. I have 6 pounds of chuck roast. Now, I got a question last time I bought beef at the store. Why did I buy beef when I have a freezer full of beef? And that's because I am running very low on quite a bit of it. I still have tons of ground beef. I actually asked Josh to pull me out a pound of ground beef because we need that for our stuffed onions. And I have some steaks left, but that's about it. I might still have I think I used the, not prime rib. I think I used the tenderloin. Maybe I didn't, but I don't really have much chuck roast left. I don't think I have any at all. I might have 1 or 2. I didn't think the ones that I had, if I do have any, would be big enough, and they are frozen. And I needed it thawed by today, and I did not get them out in time. So
I don't think I have chuck roast, but even if I did, I don't think I have enough. So that's why I bought it. And if I still happen to have chuck roast down there, we'll just eat it at a different time. I'm gonna season this beef really well with some seasoned salt. I have a pot heating up for the beef. I don't think it's quite hot enough yet. Oh, it is. So while the beef is searing, we're gonna get going on making the smoky pepper sauce for the potatoes. I took the onions out of the water. The recipe said 5 large onions. Those I think were extra, extra large because I think I'm gonna have more filling than I need. Now my stove is starting to go out. This motherboard is broken. It's not a big deal. I can still use the stove top because we have propane and I have electric ovens over there, but just means I need to use a match to light it. So in this pot, we're gonna make our smoky chili oil sauce. Now, the recipe did not call for harissa. This is not in the recipe, but when I was shopping, I saw this and it looked delicious. I bought it one other time. Oh yeah, I'm gonna use that in this recipe. I need some olive oil.
To about a third of a cup, maybe a quarter cup of olive oil, I'm going to add about the same amount of this harissa paste. This harissa paste is not spicy. You can get spicy harissa, a ton of garlic, the juice of a lemon, and some tomato paste. I'm going to toast all these spices and peppers and garlic and things in with the oil, get all the flavors blooming and alive. A lot of flavor compounds are actually fat soluble, and so I have found that you can really intensify the flavor if you bloom your spices and your things in oil. I did add some salt and pepper to that. I'm going to go ahead and flip my beef, and I'm going to let that simmer for just about 2 minutes or so until it's deepened in color and it's super, super fragrant. And at the same time, I'm just working through browning each piece of my chuck roast until it's nice and browned. And I can tell that my Dutch oven needs to be scrubbed. You can actually get the darkness off your Dutch ovens, enamel cast iron, with some baking soda. And I just need to take the time to do that, but today was not the day.
I want to start deglazing the bottom of this pan a little bit, so I'm going to start adding some of the liquid. This is some red wine vinegar. This and the spices is what really intrigued me with this recipe. I'm going to scrape up all those brown bits. And the shallots, because I love shallots. So I thought that was super interesting. Now I actually want these onions to char a little bit, so what I probably should have done was deglaze, remove the liquid, and then add the onions, but I didn't do that, so I'm just gonna go over here. Get these back on the stove. That vinegar with the beef smells incredible. And while these are cooking, I'm gonna get out the spices we need because this recipe calls for a lot of really warm spices, which sounds so yummy with beef. I'm gonna go ahead and deglaze with some white wine. I'm doing this a little out of order because I wanted to get the brown bits off this pan again because it was getting a little dark. I'm going to cook this for a few minutes, maybe reduce the wine by about half. And I am going to take these shallots out. See, we got some nice color on them. And I'm doubling the recipe. This has reduced by quite a bit, so I'm gonna get this in this pot. I just dished up the potato sauce and I have quite a bit extra, so I think this is not in the recipe, but I think what I'm gonna do is I have some of the oil actually here. I'm gonna toast my spices and my garlic in this really yummy oil we made because I want to use it up, and then the flavors will match everything. So we're going to put quite a bit of garlic in here, and now this is where it gets interesting. Because these are spices that I'm not super comfortable or familiar with using in beef dishes, I am going to measure this out. So we've got our chili oil in there that we made. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. We added the wine and the vinegar in here already. So what we've got to do, and I'm doubling this recipe, add a couple bay leaves. Let's add 4, because I think the recipe called for 2. I don't want 5. I don't know why I decided I don't want 5. Now we're going to do 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. I probably did like almost a teaspoon. Clove, it says a pinch, so I'm going to be very conservative with the clove. I turned the stove down way low so that it would give me time to get all these in here. I'm going to do maybe 1/4 teaspoon of that. Allspice, 1/8 teaspoon. Oh, that was probably 1/8 teaspoon. That's what I was thinking, but I said 1/4. I'll do it 1/8 teaspoon on that one. And then I think it called for nutmeg. No nutmeg, so I'm gonna put that away. So I'm gonna get these put away. I'm only gonna toast those for about a minute, so I do need to get them stirred. And then it calls for tomato paste, but I'm gonna substitute that chili paste for the tomato paste. Oh my goodness, this smells so good. Now, this would be a really good fall recipe. I'm making this late July, but this would be so good in the fall. It's only supposed to be 75 tomorrow, the high, and we're not having dinner till 6. So I'm comfortable making this more cozy-ish dinner, even though it's winter, even though it's summer. I'm gonna turn the stove off because I think the spices are toasted well enough. Let me get this mixed up. I have 2 jars of beef broth that I'm going to put in here. I think I'm going to start with 1. And we'll go with that. We're going to let this cool, and then we'll pop this in the fridge, and our main dish is done. Other than, I do have a couple herbs I want to put in here, but we have to go out to the garden to harvest those. So when we go to the garden to harvest more green beans and the flowers for the table decor, I will harvest some herbs to put in this. So we've got a couple things completely done, and we have a couple things on their way to being done. This one is the one we're going to finish next, the rice stuffed potatoes. These potatoes I'm calling basically done. I need to prep a ton of herbs. So when I prep herbs, I'll put an herb container in there. So what I'm going to cross off right now are the potatoes. Our main dish is done, basically. Our creamy yogurt sauce is done. So we still need to make the desserts, the tahini yogurt sauce for the potatoes. So I guess that part's not done yet, but that was on a different line, so that's fine. Green beans I'm gonna do tomorrow, pita bread I'm gonna do tomorrow, so we're well on our way of the stuff we need to get done today. I can't set the table until tomorrow because our sprinklers will go off and get the table wet. So Josh just walked in here.
Oh wow. What am I smelling? I'm smelling, it's really sweet.
You're probably smelling the cinnamon, clove, allspice, vinegar, wine. It's the beef, probably.
Yeah, that smells really good.
And you're probably smelling a lot of garlic because I roasted a ton of garlic.
Oh, yeah. Garlic is a given.
Yeah.
Yes.
Josh, would you sometime today, doesn't matter when it happens, just before tomorrow, because I'm probably going to get up early and set the table after the sprinklers go, can you grab me, I need 2 folding tables. There's one downstairs if there's not 2 up here. Could you put them outside and bring out all of the chairs, the folding chairs?
Yeah.
Awesome. And you want to wipe them down if they're dusty?
I'd love to.
You would love to. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to, perfect. So that's a couple things off my list. So let's go ahead and get the tahini yogurt sauce done. Or you know what we should do? We should get our cake in the oven because that needs to bake. I'm going to frost it tomorrow. I'm assuming 350. We'll start with that. Oh no, what I need to do, I added something to my list. I need to do I'm going to turn that off because I don't want it to get too warm in here. I probably should do that now, but I'm not going to. We are going to get the rice stuffed onions done next. Okay, let me get a baking dish for that. The nice thing about this recipe is once it's in the casserole dish, all I'm gonna have to do tomorrow is throw this in the oven. Same with the beef, like the main dish. Okay, let me get out all the ingredients we need for this. This is definitely how I like to bounce around the kitchen. I just washed up all my fresh herbs and I see I've got a ton of dishes here that I can throw over here in the sink and tidy this little counter up over here. But I was going to finish the onion dish, but I need herbs for the onion dish and I need herbs for almost every dish we're making. So I washed up the herbs and we're gonna process these herbs first so that I can have all of them processed. I did get 2 bunches of parsley. I got 2 bunches of cilantro. And I'm not going to be perfect when it comes to getting the stems off. Like I'm not gonna go through and pick off every single leaf. If there's a few stems in my parsley, I'm okay with that. If there's a few leaves left on my stems, I'm okay with that too, because I will give that to my chickens so it won't go to waste. They will love some fresh parsley. I'm gonna try to get the big stems out though. I need to get my compost bowl back. That got reclaimed. So what I have here is 2 glass containers because I'm not gonna use most of this parsley until tomorrow. Some of it I need for the onion dish. That's why I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get this done now. And this is probably more than I need, but fresh herbs, well, these combination especially, well, and basil too, and dill. I did buy dill. I actually went shopping yesterday before I finalized my menu because, like I said, my life has been very hectic. All good things, but just a lot going on. And so I didn't really have the bandwidth yesterday to like sit down before I went grocery shopping because I had some errands I had to run in town. So I went grocery shopping when I was in town. And it wasn't till last night that I finalized my recipes after I went shopping. And I got things that I knew that I would probably need, like herbs, and I went a little overboard, but I will use them this coming week. Okay, so there's parsley. Put that in the corner there. I've got 2 things of cilantro.
Normally what I do is I have an entire menu planned out. I write my grocery list and then I go shopping. But yesterday I had so many errands. I had a doctor's appointment. I had 2 doctor's appointments, and I'll go more into that in the future. And life was just crazy. And all good things, like I said, but just super, super busy. And so I just did not have the energy to come up with a whole menu before I went grocery shopping. But I knew that I was in town and I needed to go grocery shopping because it takes me quite a bit of time to get into town from my house. So I just bought the things that I thought I would need because I knew the flavor profiles I wanted to go with this menu. And I actually nailed it. I didn't even have to send Josh to the store for one thing. I bought just what I needed and I didn't buy a bunch extra. It happened to work out perfect. But that is not normally the case. Even when I write a grocery list and I have my menu planned, I usually do tend to forget one or two things, and I do have to send Josh or my dad, to the store. But this time it happened to work out. I didn't need anything else. I chopped up the second bunch of parsley. Now I'm gonna chop up some dill. I don't know if I'm even gonna use the dill. I'm gonna leave those in pretty big chunks because that'll be more for garnish. Put that there. I'm gonna put that back in the fridge for some other time. And then I'm gonna use some of these green onions in the recipe, the stuffed onion recipe. It's not called for, but I've got it, why not? Now what I'm gonna do to keep this even more fresh is just put a paper towel on top. We will use a lot of that tomorrow and a lot of it throughout the rest of the week. Fresh herbs rarely go bad around here. I'm pretty good about using them up. In here I have beef rice that I rinsed really well. This recipe does not call for this pepper sauce, but it calls for a lot of the ingredients that I used in it. So we're gonna go ahead and use the rest of this up in here. I'm gonna add these herbs. I'm gonna go get this cleaned up. This recipe calls for some allspice and pomegranate molasses. I thought I ordered it on Amazon. I've looked at every grocery store around me and I can't find it. It was supposed to be here 2 hours ago. It's not here. So I'm gonna use what I can find in my local grocery store, which is pomegranate syrup. You have said they are different, but this is the closest substitute I can find in my area. So hopefully that does show up and we can cook with it. That's some seasoned salt, paprika, and then I need to get us, I can just use this spoon probably. We need some tomato paste and some garlic. So I finally bought myself some gloves. I was at Costco yesterday and I finally remembered to get gloves. Now this rice is not cooked, so we are gonna put a lot of liquid and the rice is gonna cook in the oven, I hope. I was almost tempted not to follow the recipe and use cooked rice, but I'm gonna follow the recipe. A lot of the recipes I looked at for this particular type of dish does call for raw rice, so we're just going with it. It smells good. So I've got my onions here, my baking dish. I think I made way more onions than I needed. So I don't want these to be huge because there's going to be so much food options. I want everyone to be able to have a little bit of everything. And the recipe does not say how much filling to put in each one, so I'm just going to kind of do a guesstimate here. There'll be different size ones, that's for sure. I watched a YouTube video on these probably 2 or 3 years ago, and they have been kind of on my list of things I have wanted to make since seeing that video. This is not that exact recipe. I don't even know if it's similar. I just remember seeing stuffed onions and thought, I love stuffed cabbage. I've got to try this. Let me tell you, these are fantastic. I will absolutely be making these again. Super simple and easy and absolutely delicious. Now this recipe calls for tomato paste and water mixed together with pomegranate molasses, but what I have here is some marinara sauce from last year, and this just has onions, some wine, garlic, herbs, only basil. So I thought I'm gonna use that instead. And I need enough liquid to obviously cook the rice. So we're gonna get this in there. So I am going to use beef broth. And I'm gonna add my pomegranate molasses to this because we're supposed to add 2 more tablespoons, or pomegranate syrup. The pomegranate molasses that I ordered was supposed to be at my house between 8 and 11. It did not get to my house until like 5 o'clock, basically when I was totally done cooking and had the kitchen clean. And I think this pomegranate syrup worked out just fine, but I am excited to have finally pomegranate molasses in my house so that I can use that in future recipes.
Okay, I'm gonna start with that. I'm gonna keep the rest of that beef broth and put it in the fridge because we might need it, but I'm gonna get this covered and this dish is completely done other than needing to be cooked. I'm using foil to cover this because I need to cook this with it covered in foil so the rice will cook. So in the fridge it goes. I was just about to put this in the fridge because it's now cool, but I have about a tablespoon of this pomegranate molasses left. So I just put some of that, oh, that's open. Some of that beef broth in here. And I think that would be really good in this. Just use this up since I have, I think, more pomegranate molasses. This is pomegranate syrup, but I'm just gonna get that in here. Use that up, then I can get rid of this bottle. Okay, into the fridge this goes. We are making great progress. So I just took a minute. I got my dishwasher loaded and it's running. I washed this pot because we need it to actually make the cake. I should preheat the oven. Let me do that because I'm gonna do that next. And let's regroup. We have our main dish in the fridge ready to go for tomorrow. Pita we're gonna make tomorrow. Garlic green beans we're gonna make tomorrow. I gotta harvest more green beans. It's pretty hot today, so I think I will I'll go out this evening because I've got to harvest a ton of flowers and I've got to harvest green beans. So I'm going to do that tonight when it's cooler. I'll change into comfy clothes. We've got a birthday party we're going to tonight. So I will probably do that right before we leave or when we get back or in the morning. Sparkling strawberry lemonade, I have that done. I just need to, that's in a jar. I just need to, okay. I just vacuumed the house, or vacuumed this floor just because it was a mess. We have our stuffed rice onion done, our toom done. Okay, we've got tahini yogurt sauce we need to make for the potatoes, and we need to make the devil's food cake. I have a plum tart here that is on the list because my plums are ready to harvest and eat. We've been going out there and eating them just right off the tree. They are fantastic, but I'm getting a little bit tired at this point. We've done a lot. So I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and cross that one off the list. And I'll probably just make that on a day that oh, you know what? Maybe I'll make that Sunday. We have a family dinner with Josh's mom. So maybe I'll make that and bring that over there. Because I do want to make that, but I also need to make a bunch of pie crusts for the freezer because I've been really liking quiche and it's kind of annoying that I have to make a pie crust every time I want to make a quiche. So I'll just put that on. We're going to make that a different day. So we're going to make the decadent devil's food cake now. And then while that's going, yeah, I'm going to set the table tomorrow. I'll probably make the flower arrangements tonight. I have no idea. I interrupted myself. I have no idea how I'm going to set this table. My goal, if you've been with me for any length of time, you know that I've been talking about thrifting plates and things like that. I have not had the time to do that. And we're going to make a beautiful summer garden harvest tablescape with what I have on hand. Now, what I am going to do next month, I'm starting to plan it. I'm going to be a lot more on the ball because I'm going to have a month to plan it. I'm going to do a tomato themed dinner party. The tablescape is going to be tomato themed. The dishes are going to be tomato themed. I already have the main course. It's going to be chicken. That's not going to be tomato themed, but I just had an idea. I could put, it's going to be delicious. The dessert won't be tomato themed, but everything else will be. So I'm really looking forward to that dinner party as well. Have you seen the tomato candles that are made out of beeswax? I follow this lady on Instagram's business who makes vegetable shaped beeswax candles, and I'm going to pick some of those up, and fruit shaped beeswax candles. I'll link that person down below. Okay, I'm rambling now because I'm tired. So tahini yogurt sauce we still need to make. Plum tart I'll make later this week. Potatoes are done. That's for tomorrow. This is done. Oh, I found this recipe that I did not make, and I'm not gonna make it, but I do wanna make it. Greek spinach rice. This was recommended to make with that beef dish, and I will make it some other time. But I printed it off because I thought it sounded good. So this Devil Foods cake, I am going to make the cake according to the recipe, but I am going to make the frosting completely different. I have made this Devil's Food cake one other time, but we're gonna decorate it different and we are going to frost it different. My pot here, this cake recipe, we're gonna use fresh milled flour and we are going to make it in this pot. It's kind of weird. I'm pretty sure I have enough cocoa powder. This uses the really dark cocoa powder that Oreos are made out of. And this is probably one of my favorite cakes. I have thought about it. It's my Roman Empire. I've thought about this cake probably at least a couple times a week since I made it. I was telling my sister about it because she grinds her flour fresh sometimes, and she thought this sounded good. I sent her the recipe, but then I thought, you know what? Instead of just sending her the recipe, why don't I just make it for this party? Okay, so now we need milk. And I'm gonna heat both of these up. My butter was frozen. So instead of adding the cocoa powder now, I'm gonna melt this and then I'm gonna add the cocoa powder. And I've got a good system now on how to light this. I put the match there first, and then I turn the propane on and get this melted. While this is melting, I'm gonna measure out some other ingredients. I buy this cocoa powder on Amazon. My local grocery store does not carry it, and Azure does not carry it. Oh, I needed brewed coffee. Good thing I have brewed coffee. And I need 75 grams. Hopefully I have 75 grams. That is 76 right there. We're gonna call that good. 264 grams of soft white wheat. Now I'm hoping I didn't drink too much of this coffee this morning. Nope, literally the perfect amount. So now we have our coffee, our butter, our cocoa powder in here. That coffee was cool, so that's cooling down the butter and cocoa powder and all that goodness. I'm gonna need to get a spatula to get all this out. I have vanilla in here and sour cream. I'm gonna mix that together. This is a cool cake because you don't need any mixer or anything like that. You can just do it with a whisk and a pot. You could even probably melt your butter in the microwave if you didn't want to do it on the stove. I am just following the recipe. Now we're gonna add our flour. And then I need to weigh out the sugars. I need to get my scale back out. I am putting the ingredients in here according to the order of the recipe. 200 grams white sugar. Hopefully I have enough brown sugar. I do have more downstairs. I just don't want to go downstairs for the 10th time today. 213 grams. I forgot to tare it, so now I get to do math. That's good. Now I'm gonna add some salt. And this just needs to mix. Now you will notice that we have not added our leavening agents yet to this recipe. And that's because we're working with fresh milled flour. So we want the bran and the germ to hydrate. So we're gonna let this sit for 15 minutes. Then we're gonna add baking soda, baking powder, and vinegar. And then we will put these into our cake pans and bake. And last time I baked this in 2 rounds. What does the recipe say? Oh, 350, good. I have my oven preheating to 350. And I did listen to a reel that said it is best, this was for cookies, I think, that if when you're preheating your oven, if you let it preheat for like a half an hour, not just until it gets that temperature, you get a better bake. So I would assume that would be the same for cakes as well. It just said divide cake batter into prepared pans. Does it say somewhere where we need to prepare the pans? I must not be seeing it. I'm gonna do it like I did before. I like thick cake layers because I don't really eat frosting, but this frosting I make, I love. So I'm gonna make 2. It might take longer to cook. Okay, so I'm gonna set this back here. Since this bowl is already dirty, I'm gonna go ahead and just measure out my baking powder, baking soda, and then I'll pour my vinegar directly into the cake batter because I don't want the baking soda and baking powder to do their reaction while they're sitting on my counter. So here we've got our baking soda. Break that up, it's kind of clumpy. Baking powder. I'm gonna clean up a little bit from this mess and then we will make our yogurt sauce while that continues to hydrate. And this next sauce I'm kind of making up. So I need to figure out what I want to make. I actually see right here that I have a recipe printed for tahini yogurt sauce. It's Greek yogurt, tahini, lemon juice, garlic, coriander finely chopped. So this must be a British recipe because we call it cilantro. I'm assuming if it means finely chopped, that means it's fresh, not the spice. I need to prepare the pans too. So let me do that first because that I just want to get out of the way. I can't remember if I bake this in a 9x9 round or an 8x8. These are 9x9s. We're going to start with our roasted garlic. I'm going to mash that on the side here. We need some texture in there to help that, so a little bit of seasoned salt. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit of that oil. Tahini, which is ground sesame paste. Has a very earthy flavor. Greek yogurt. I put my lemon juicer in the dishwasher, so I'll just do this one by hand.
This sauce was everyone's favorite. I could have doubled or maybe even tripled this recipe and I would not have been upset about it. It was so good. The main difference between the recipe I had and the recipe I made is I roasted the garlic.
Cilantro and mix. And now we taste. Believe it or not, it needs more garlic. Roasted garlic gets very, very mild and sweet almost. And it needs a little more salt. I'm just gonna put all of it in there. If there's some chunks of garlic, I'll serve this as a sauce as well, not just for the potatoes. If people want to put this on top of their stuffed onion, they could. I'm going to save this oil. This will not go to waste because that just has delicious flavor. Cheers. I could eat this by the spoonful. My family loves sauces and I love sauces. So I'm really trying to get better at making delicious sauces, and this might be my new favorite. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes. So we're gonna get this in here now. Vinegar. While I was waiting for my cake to rest, I did a few more dishes. We've got 11 minutes more on this that I can unload it and load it. I set a timer for the cakes. I actually weighed these out, so they are within about 15 grams of each other, which is awesome. Never done that before. And I also started to pull out what I am going to use to set the table. But right now, I have technically finished all of the things I wanted to accomplish today. Josh picked me up an iced tea when he was out, and I am ready to go put some comfy clothes on, sit down, eat some lunch. It is 2:23. We started at 10:30-ish, I think, and relax. I do want to finish getting the things that I need for the tablescape out. I was looking at my vase options, and because we're gonna have 2 tables, I'm gonna have 3 tables total. 2 are gonna be for adults and 1 is gonna be for the kiddos. And the adult is gonna be 1 big long table using 2 tables. I don't have enough vases, so I'm gonna be using mason jars for the cups because I don't have enough cups either that match. And that'll be pretty and rustic for outside. And you'll see that when that comes together, but all my jars are downstairs. They need to be washed. So when that dishwasher is done, I'll unload it at some point, load it up with the jars for the cups and the vases. Right now, I'm gonna sit down and have some lunch. My arm was getting tired. And I'm gonna go hang out with my family and enjoy the afternoon. I will see you back when I am harvesting flowers. We've got a lot of flowers that we can harvest and green beans. And then I will see you probably early morning when I need to make the pita bread and I need to decorate the cake, and then everything else is basically done, just needs to be cooked, assembled, plated. That's probably what I'll do tonight as well, is start pulling out serving dishes. So thank you for being here so far. I'm ready to go relax.
Good morning. It is the next day and we are going to decorate this gender reveal cake. I am so excited about this. I do want to let you know that how I finished the evening is we got in comfy clothes, my family and I hung out, we had a birthday party we were going to, and I had just enough time to run to IKEA. And I ended up picking up a few things at IKEA. They were things that I wanted, but I just didn't think I was going to be able to make it work. But I was already going into Portland and it didn't take much time just to stop in IKEA. I just had to leave a little earlier for the party. We went in there and got exactly what we needed, and I'm going to show you what we got. And I've been so happy with the quality for the price point. So this table ends up coming out absolutely beautiful. But before we set the table, we're going to make the cake. So this is my absolute favorite frosting. If you've been here for any length of time, you might know I do not like frosting very much. And this is a whipped mascarpone frosting. I put in 8 ounces of mascarpone cheese, 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of salt, and I whip that together until it gets nice and firm, and that is my frosting. So it's basically like a mascarpone whipped cream frosting, and it is incredible and it's stiff. I don't put any stabilizers in it at all, and this is how we are going to decorate the cake for the gender reveal. So what I'm adding here to some of the frosting is either blueberry jam or strawberry jam, whatever color if it's blue, it's a boy, if it's pink, it's a girl. And I'm going to get this in here, and so we can cut into this and reveal this. Now, Josh and I already know the gender. We found out just by ourselves in our kitchen, and it was very special. And I thought it would be fun to be able to kind of surprise my family. This might be my parents' last grandbaby. It might not, but it potentially could be. And so I thought it would be fun to do something a little bit special. We have not ever done a gender reveal party in our family, and so I mean, I guess this was not a gender reveal party necessarily. This was a great opportunity to have all my siblings, nieces and nephews, and my parents over for dinner, but we just happened to be able to cut into this cake and find out the gender of this grandbaby. So here I've covered the whole cake with this beautiful frosting. I did end up having to make another half recipe because one recipe was not enough between the filling and getting the whole cake decorated. So I technically used 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 ounces of mascarpone cheese, 3 cups of heavy whipping cream, salt, and vanilla to make enough frosting to decorate this cake. Now, what I was going to do was put blueberry clusters on here with a little green leaf and strawberries. So it's going to be pink and blue. And when I went out this morning to pick some, these are blueberry leaves off my blueberry plants, I remembered I have pink lemonade blueberries. Or actually, I think they're actually called raspberry lemonade blueberries. And I thought that would be cuter if I used the raspberry lemonade blueberries and the blue blueberries to kind of hint at the fact that this is a gender reveal cake because it's pink and blue. And I think it turned out so, so cute. I'm pretty sure I have seen this concept online when people make blueberry cakes before. And so I don't think I came up with this idea, but I think it turned out absolutely adorable. Now, I always put a little bit of parchment paper around the bottom when I decorate my cake so my cake stand stays a little bit nicer. But when you do that, you do need to use a knife to kind of keep the frosting in place. And there is the cake. I think it's one of the cutest cakes I've ever made, probably because it holds a little special place in my heart, and the blueberries were from my blueberry plants, which I think is really, really special. So I'm just crossing some stuff off the list, and now we're gonna get going on the pita bread. I had not showered at this point. I don't know what time it is. I just figured I was up and I'm gonna start getting some kitchen projects done. Now, I decided to triple this pita bread recipe, and I decided to try a new recipe that is 100% fresh milled flour. I have made pitas lots of times with you all, and I've done 100% all white flour. I've done 50-50, and they have always turned out. So I thought, let's go ahead and try to do 100% fresh milled flour pita, and I was very nervous about this. If you're new to hanging out with me in the kitchen, this last year I invested in a grain mill. These are an investment, but it's been one of my most favorite kitchen pieces of equipment that I've ever bought. I find it very empowering to be able to mill your own flour, but it is a big, big learning curve. It takes anyone quite a bit of time to learn how to bake proficiently using all-purpose flour, and it takes time to learn how to bake using fresh milled flour. And I feel like after probably what are we at, like 9 months of practice with this, I'm finally starting to feel comfortable with it. And when I try new recipes, sometimes I still get a little nervous about it. And this recipe, I was nervous, especially for making this big of a recipe, but I'll just tell you now, they turn out perfect. I end up tripling it. So we're gonna make 36 pita breads. In this bowl, I have hot water, honey, oil, fresh milled flour, and I'm gonna mix that together and we're gonna let this sit. I think I end up letting it sit for about an hour or so. That is one of the biggest keys when working with fresh milled flour, is you want your bran and germ to rest and hydrate before you add your leavening agents. So we're gonna put yeast in this for our leavening agent, but we're gonna let this hydrate before we add our yeast. Just like with our cake, we let it rest before we added our baking powder and baking soda. We are going to let this rest as well. So I'm gonna knead this. I'm gonna put the lid on it. There's no yeast in it, so it can sit for a good amount of time. The recipe said 30 minutes, but it probably ended up sitting longer because we end up having breakfast as a family, and I end up showering and starting to get ready for the day before I end up tackling more of this recipe.
Good morning. It is 11. I have showered now. I still need to get ready, but I think it's time to actually put the meat in the oven here pretty soon. I was going to look at my recipe And then we got to get our yeast in, and I just need to finish all this up. So people are coming around 6-ish, except for my sister, her husband, and 2 kids. They're coming over around 1. They're actually going to bring us lunch, which is going to be really nice. I did not make dinner yesterday because we went to a birthday party. And so actually I want this lower. I'm going to do low and slow for the meat. So I don't have any leftovers for lunch today, and I don't feel like cooking anything for lunch today. So it kind of worked out perfect. My sister texted and said, hey, since we're coming over early, do you want us to bring you lunch? And I said, yes, that sounds fantastic. So at this point, the only real cooking I need to do is finish up this pita bread. And you can see after this is soaked for quite some time, it is not sticky like it was before. Here I pre-measured out my salt and yeast. This is instant yeast, so I don't have to bloom it or anything like that. I'm gonna mix this in and get this kneading. This is gonna need to knead for about 10 minutes. Once that's all kneaded together, then we need to let it rise for about an hour and a half. So while this is kneading and then rising, my goal is to harvest the green beans for tonight, all the flowers. I need to make the flower arrangements and set the table. Now, I was able to make it to IKEA between when I was done cooking, relaxing a bit, and the birthday we went to. So I picked up a few things I'm really excited about. And I'm gonna show them to you now. Josh is out in the yard cleaning up the yard and setting up the tables and chairs for me. I ran the dishwasher because I bought these cute little cups. So I don't have enough cups for as many people that are coming over. These were a great price. They were $1.99. They stack really well. They're very, very hot. I took the stickers off, I washed them, and I'm gonna use those, and I can't wait because I can use those for lots and lots of dinner parties, and they're very neutral. I was gonna use mason jars, but I'm excited to have those because I can just use those over and over and over again as I have more parties, and actually people can drink out of glasses. I also picked up enough of these square placemats so that if I want to put these on the table, I can do that. I saw these when we went to IKEA shopping together, and I wanted to pick them up for this party, but I didn't think I was going to make it to IKEA in time. These are little votives, and for the tomato party that I'm going to have, I want to use these same ones as well. So we're going to use these today. I went ahead and put some beeswax candles in those. I got my beeswax candles in those, and then I picked up 2 of these linen tablecloths. Actually, I picked up 4. 2 of them I threw in the dryer with a couple ice cubes to get the wrinkles out. I have some neutral tablecloths that I bought on Amazon for Josh's birthday, but I didn't realize, I mean, it makes sense now thinking about it, that they are 100% polyester. And I've been looking at natural fiber tablecloths, and those were a great price. So if they work, I'm gonna be really excited about that. Okay, so what are we gonna do now? So the bread is kneading. Let's go harvest green beans and flowers. I decided to go ahead and actually preheat the oven for the beef on the lower oven, because when I cook the pitas, I'll cook them on my top oven. So this is very, very cold, straight out of the fridge. This is gonna take at least 5 to 6 hours. If it gets done before we're ready to eat, I can just turn the oven off and let it stay warm in the oven. Oh, I also got at IKEA this napkin holder, which is really cute, and some disposable napkins as well. This is looking really good. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. It's still, yeah, I don't want to add any flour because I don't want it to be too dry. So I'm gonna take this out. My kitchen is not crazy warm or crazy cold right now, so I'm just gonna let this proof in this bowl. The problem is my bowl is a little small, I think, for this amount of dough. And my other big bowls are being used right now. So we're just gonna have to make this work. I am going to try to stretch this out a little bit. This is gonna make a lot. I only doubled the recipe. Maybe I tripled it, I don't know. I clicked the button on the recipe and I can't remember if I doubled or tripled it. So the math was already done for me. So I'm gonna cover this. We're gonna let this sit while we go harvest flowers. Josh is out there right now cleaning up after the dogs so that the kids and everything can run around and not have to worry about all of that. So I've got some mason jars here. We're gonna harvest flowers into these, and we're gonna harvest the green beans into a basket. We've got flowers all over my property that I can harvest. I'm thinking I wanna do mostly zinnias and dahlias because I think That's what I have the most of. And my napkins that I'm gonna use today are gonna be green. Everything else is gonna be neutral on the table. So I would love to do pinks and oranges as pops of color. This year, I don't have very many purples, I don't think. So there's Josh. You can see there's dahlias all over here. He's getting the table set up. I mean, like, look at this one. So I'm thinking this is the color scheme I want to go with because I should have lots and lots of flowers these colors. I've never seen more bumblebees in my garden than I have seen this year. And I think it's because I have so many more flowers in my garden than I've ever had. Look at this. And then I always love a pop of white when I've got a bouquet, whatever the color scheme is. I love when white kind of contrasts that color scheme. I don't know if you can see, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's hundreds of bumblebees on these flowers this year. It's amazing. It's becoming a bit of a jungle, and I am going to need to probably prune some back a little bit, but not really worried about that at this point. Oh good, I have some cosmos. I'll come back for those. You're gonna see we have hundreds of flower stems in this garden. I need to water my pots while I'm out here, and I'm getting myself soaked carrying these water jugs. Well, those are my gloves. I was looking for my gloves the other day. Okay, zinnias. Here's more dahlias in this bed. Oh, these are what I was coming out here for. These are Oklahoma pink zinnias. And they are crowding out my peppers, so they could do for a bit of a trim. Zinnias and dahlias, the more you cut them, the more they'll bloom. Here are the ingredients for the bouquets. I think I'm gonna pause this and I'm gonna go start setting the table. Josh is still working on cleaning the chairs and working in the lawn, so I'm gonna come in here and do the pita bread. I have my carbon steel griddle pan in here. I love this thing. I use it all the time. I'm preheating this oven to 500 degrees. It is 12:27. My sister just texted me and said they're driving around town and they won't be here, look at this, until around 2:30. which is actually gonna work out just fine because I think in the next 2 hours, I should be able to get the pita bread done and with Josh's help, finish the cleaning tasks that need to be done and get the table set and make the flower arrangements. But I'm sure if I don't get to the flower arrangements, my sister probably would enjoy helping me with that. Now, this smells great. I hope this turns out. Worst case scenario, we're not eating until 6 o'clock. If Josh needs to run to the store to buy some pita bread, we can do that. This is the first time I'm making homemade pita with 100% fresh milled flour. I'm gonna put this away. I'm gonna grab myself a little bit of flour because we are going to make these pita breads on this side of the kitchen because the oven's over there. This oven's on the fritz, so I can't really rely on it to work. So we're gonna work with this oven over here. We know what's wrong with the oven, it's fixable. We just need a new motherboard, but life has been busy. I have a working oven. I have 2 working ovens, so it hasn't been a priority. There has been other things that have had to take precedence over figuring out that oven. The stove works just fine. Okay, so I have a bowl here. This is a dish with a clean towel in it because as the pita breads come out of the oven, I am going to put them in this clean towel. I made hopefully a lot. I want there to be enough. I'm making a mess on my counter. I want there to be enough for everyone to at least have 2. And then whatever's left over, we will use as a family. So this is my little station when I make pita bread. Got my rolling pin, a little bit of flour, my oven, my silicone mat, a spatula, some tongs, a clean dish, and my dough. Now, this is a lot of dough. I probably should look at the recipe to see if I doubled it or tripled it so I can get a kind of a base idea of how many I'm supposed to make here. This dough feels super light and soft, not dry. I tripled the recipe, which I actually meant to only double it. So we should get 36 pitas out of this. So I think that's more. Well, there's gonna be 18 of us, but there's gonna be a 1-year-old who's probably not gonna, well, maybe eat one. He is a good eater. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do to make this easier on myself so that they're somewhat even in size? You absolutely do not have to do this, but for my brain, this actually feels like it's gonna be easier if I weigh out this dough. Hey Siri, divide 2,923 by 36.
2,923 divided by 36 is approximately 81.1944.
Okay, so 82 grams-ish is gonna get us the size of pita according to the recipe. Okay, that's 86 grams. I'm gonna call that good. Okay, I don't want this dough to dry out while I'm doing this. So what I'm gonna do is take my damp my damp towel that I had earlier. I don't know where it went, so I'll get a new one. If I'm within 5 grams, I'm happy about that. So I'm not making them exact, just close. All right, I'm a little nervous about this because I kind of went all in with this 100% fresh milled pita. I think I do need to put a little flour down because it was sticking. Close that. I am going to grab just a little flour. I got rid of that flour I had earlier because I didn't think I was actually going to need it. So I'm going to put a little flour on the corner here. Let's see, let's turn this light on. You'll be able to see if they're puffing up. Well, those are cooking. They usually only take about, I don't know, a minute or so each side. Usually once, oh, they're starting to puff up a little bit. I don't know if you can see the little bubbles. My family is pretty new to fresh milled flour. Some of them have never even had it. I mean, my extended family, my immediate family, my son and my husband love it. But my siblings and things like that are pretty new to it. And what Josh and I have found is that it's fresh milled flour products are not dry at all. Like when I have baked with store-bought whole wheat flour, they sometimes are kind of dry and grainy. Fresh milled flour is not. And I think the reason is because it still has all the oils in it. Even whole wheat flour that you buy at the store, they have to take the oils out of it because that would go bad sitting on grocery store shelves and in warehouse shelves. But when you mill it yourself, you got the whole thing. You've got the oil, the germ, the bran, the endosperm. You've got every aspect of it. And the flavors are just so good because you can mix and match different types of wheat. Different types of wheat have different textures, different flavors. And it's just so empowering, I think, to be able to take a seed, a wheat berry, because that's what wheat is, it's a seed, grind it, and turn it into pita. Look at that. It's popping up. Woohoo! Okay, I got 2 more rolled out here. I'll have Josh give these a taste test when he is ready to do so. Now I'm going to repeat that process a bunch more times. Now, Josh, look at these. 100% fresh milled pita.
Those look great.
Hi. You guys want to try this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Ooh.
starving. I didn't even eat breakfast.
Some too.
Okay. You can tell me if it's cooked. It's
It's gonna be
hot.
really hot, buddy.
These are absolutely incredible. I was listening to Michael Pollan talk. I don't know if you've read any of his books. He is a food journalist and he has some pretty incredible books that have actually really shaped the way that I think about food and cooking and farming and agriculture. And I was listening to him talk about wheat because in his book Cooked, which is a really good book, he goes on a journey to learn how to make bread, and not just bread using white flour, but whole grain flour. And he was talking about how we have kind of lost what the flavor of wheat is, and fresh milled is just so, so good. And I'm so excited that my family loves it.
Josh just made a peanut butter and jelly pita, and it's so good.
It's really good.
I have a bite in my mouth.
I actually was able to end up making 3 pitas at a time, which I'm really glad because that sped the process up quite a bit. I wasn't timing anything when it came to how long to cook these. It was mostly just by feel. Basically, by the time I could roll 3 of these out, I thought that they were done enough and I took them off. Now, the recipe did not say to put, oh, actually, I'm gonna take that back. I can't remember if the recipe said to put them in a towel or not. I do think that this step is really important because when you make tortillas, you do this step and the steam kind of softens them and makes them super, super tender. And so I took that same concept and applied it to the pita, and these were soft, tender. It has now been a few days. We had about 8 left over after the dinner party. My family ends up eating 4 of them before people even get here. Because my sister was going to be much later, she didn't end up bringing lunch. That's why we ended up having pitas for lunch, pita peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and they were incredible. And all of them except about 8 got eaten at the dinner party, which meant that we had leftovers. And so I grilled up some chicken, and we had a bunch of the tune left over and all those herbs, and we end up using these pitas as basically sandwich bread for the next couple days. And they have just been a huge, huge hit. So like I said, a grain mill is a huge investment. It took me a few years before I finally decided to buy one. I originally went with the KitchenAid attachment one because it's much more affordable, but I regret that because it didn't grind the flour fine enough. So I kind of gave up on it, and then I waited years and years and years before finally investing in the grain mill I have now. And I'm so glad I did, because this is so fun to be able to grind your own flour and make delicious bread.
I have my last 2 in there. Josh went to unload the dishwasher for me with my new dishes, and he didn't think the dishwasher actually ran. So he's rewashing the dishwasher with my new glasses so that they're nice and shiny. So bright out there you can't see, but Josh has the table set up. He has out there cleaned up. I put my green beans in the pot I'm gonna serve them in, so don't forget. I pulled out my stuffed onions because they are so cold. They're already gonna take like an hour and a half to cook, I think, that I was just gonna let them come up to room temperature. And we have 2 things of pita here. 4 of them have already been eaten by my family, so I'm super glad I tripled the recipe because I think these are gonna be a huge hit. I also stirred the meat in here, the beef. My house smells incredible between the fresh baked bread and that beef with the clove and the allspice and the vinegar and the wine and all those shallots. I think that that is going to be a winner of a recipe. I'm gonna get this taken care of. I need to wipe my counter off. I'm trying extremely hard to clean as I go. I just got a little flour on here because after the kitchen got cleaned yesterday, I'm trying to keep it clean. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm trying to think. It's 1:46. My sister said she would be here. She texted and said 2:20. And my other sister said she's gonna bring an appetizer. I did tell everyone I don't have an appetizer planned. So make sure you come here hungry, and I will hopefully be serving dinner around right when you get here because I didn't plan an appetizer. And my sister texted and said, don't worry about an appetizer, I've got you covered. This is gonna be my compost bowl. This is why I didn't have a bowl to put my dough in. I've got my jars here that I'm gonna make my bouquets in. Okay, so I'm gonna have 2 tables, so I know I need 1 more jar for sure, because that would be 3 on each table. And I would like to put 1 in the powder bathroom and maybe 1 in my living room. Okay. Get me started on flours and I'm gonna totally forget what I'm cooking. So the pitas are perfectly done here. These are the last ones. That's why I usually always cook or bake with my oven door or oven light on so that I can see that I'm forgetting something. Oh, water, that's what I was doing. Another really good trick to make less of a mess is to make your bouquets outside, which I do sometimes, but I did not do that today. Here are the bouquets. I did 2 solid dahlia ones. Those are, my sister's bringing in the cake so that it can get up to a little bit more room temperature. The red ones are pink lemonade blueberries.
Wow, I've never seen them before. Where did you get them?
I grew them.
You did?
Yeah, we can go pick more.
Let's go get some.
And then,
that looks so good.
and I did 4 So each table is going to get 200% zinnias and 100% dahlia. Okay, so you want to go set the table now?
Yep, let's do it.
So it might get a little loud around here, and that is what's fun about it.
Kids are all playing already.
Yeah, we're gonna head out here and get the table set. So by the time we sit down to eat dinner, this will all be in the shade. But it's not very hot today. I don't know, he just put the chairs like this. We might put one person on each end.
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Because that would be 2, 4, 6, 5.
I was gonna put all the adults here and the kids at the table up there.
Okay, so we'll do 5 on each side and 1 on each end.
Yeah. These are some other things I got at IKEA. These are 100% linen napkins. They seem like good quality. I'll let you know how I like them. I did wash them and dried them. I didn't iron them, so they actually came out pretty well. And these linen tablecloths look pretty good as well. I did not iron them. I just put them in the dryer with some ice cubes, and they actually look really good. So
I love the pinstripe. I think that's so elegant.
let me go grab some more things and I'll be out to help you.
I mentioned earlier that this wasn't intended to be a gender reveal party. No one knew that that was going to happen on this day until they came over and I said, hey, by the way, we're going to do that. So that was kind of a fun surprise for everybody. And it kind of just made a little bit of an excitement that no one knew that was going to happen on this day. Now, I did originally plan to use the square placemats, but they did not fit on the folding tables. The folding tables are much more narrow than my dining room table. And on my dining room table, I can use those square placemats, one on each side, no problem. But for these folding tables, I ended up using my round placemats. I got those ones on Amazon and I really like those ones. And one thing you might notice is that I love neutral. I love natural, like the natural fiber tablecloths that I bought are obviously like a natural color. I like the natural looking placemats. I like the natural beeswax candles, and I love the neutral of a green napkin. And this is kind of like my go-to aesthetic, I guess, or my go-to, like when I go to purchase stuff, I really enjoy neutrals that are flexible when decorating. And I really love that my flowers can really be that pop of color against the neutral tablecloth and napkins and candles and things like that. One thing when I go to purchase items for table decor, because this is a relatively newish hobby over the last, well, I started doing dinner parties before 2020 hit. When we were in our last house, I had some girlfriends over about once a month and I would do a big dinner party for them. But then, you know what happened in 2020, got out of the habit, life got crazy. I started a second job. I was working 2 full-time jobs between YouTube and being a dental hygienist. And then Josh went back to school at that time. So he was getting his bachelor's, finishing his bachelor's degree and working full-time, and life was crazy. Did not do dinner parties around that time. And then you all have seen the journey of me starting to do dinner parties again. And I love it. I love hosting people. I love trying new recipes. I love feeding people well. And one way I really enjoy having the dinner party come together is I love setting a beautiful table. Now you will see I am in super casual clothes. I've yet to get to the point where dressing up is part of it for me. I love a beautiful table. I love beautiful food, but I guess I just have not got to the point where I enjoy dressing up. But maybe that will come one day. That is a goal of mine, but today is not that day. Life is a journey, and I'm on the cooking and learning how to set a beautiful table journey. Now, the next dinner party is going to be a tomato-themed dinner party, and I'm going to be using a lot more color in that, and that's going to be pushing me a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I can't wait for that. I have the flowers sitting here because it's too hot to put them on the table right now. And I wanted to show you what things are looking like. I'm really excited that I bought this napkin holder and these napkins. I like the color of these napkins too. I'm gonna make a ginger beer, strawberry lemonade mocktail type thing. And we'll get this food in the oven and green beans cooking in a little bit. I did pull out the cake so that it could come to room temperature just a little bit. I do like when this is not super, super cold.
We put candles out a couple places. As soon as, I'll light the candles a little bit later, as soon as the dishwasher's done running, I'll put the glasses on the table and I'll load those dishes that were in the sink. Look at this. I just checked this and the beef is not tender yet, but it has a couple hours to go yet. So heavy. Out here, we got the kids' table mostly set up. It still needs water glasses when those get out of the dishwasher and the flowers. I need to sweep out here, but I'm not really worried about that quite yet. And then this is almost done. We just need the water glasses and the flowers. It kind of looks like it's missing something. And I guess that's because it is missing something. It's missing the flowers. It's actually, the flowers might be able to come out here.
But
if the sun comes out. The sun is behind a big cloud right now. So it's, I don't know, what is it supposed to be, the high of 75 today?
No, 79.
Oh, 79. Okay, so it is going to get kind of warm. But this should, no, I thought the dog was going to pee on the table. No. This should be in the shade or behind a cloud, quite honestly, when we sit down to eat. And I do need to blow dry my hair and straighten my hair a little bit, but I'll do that at some point. It is only 3:15, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so we've got time. I don't know what time people were coming over except for my sister, so now it's just put stuff in the oven when it's ready. Dogs.
This is the appetizer my sister made. It worked out perfect because I was planning for dinner to be at 6 and it was ended up, I think, officially being served at 6:45. We were just talking and things were happening as they were happening, and so it was not a big deal, and it worked out perfect that my sister planned an appetizer. I should put in the back of my head, it is always good to have some sort of food or appetizer just in case dinner gets served later, because my trend is dinner is typically served later. So these onion stuffed, I want to say onion stuffed peppers. That's like what's wanting to come out of my mouth, but they're stuffed onions were so good. So I cooked them covered for about an hour and 15 minutes, and then I ended up uncovering them, and the rice was perfectly cooked. I was a little bit worried that the rice would be crunchy because I'm not used to cooking stuffed cabbage with raw rice. I did it once and the rice was crunchy, and so that's why I was a little hesitant, but they turned out perfect. I think just making sure you cook it long enough and having enough liquid is the key. Definitely liked that we used beef broth in it instead of water, and that tomato sauce worked really well. So you could see there, I put the potatoes in the oven with some of that oil so that they could get nice and crispy. So our beef is in the oven, our potatoes are in the oven, and our stuffed onions are in the oven. I ended up turning my bottom oven down to 170. That's the lowest it goes. So the beef was done just sitting in the oven. I end up putting the stuffed onions in that lower oven, basically just in a keep warm mode. I'm getting ready to plate up my potatoes. So I put some of our roasted garlic sauce on the bottom of the platter. And then I just served up the rest of the yogurt sauce with some of that garlic oil on top, so people could use that just as a dipping sauce for other items. And I definitely should have doubled that recipe because that was completely gone. There was none of that left after the dinner party, and it was so good. So here you can see I am now putting the pepper sauce on these potatoes. I let them bake at 425 for about 30 minutes, and then the last 15 minutes or so I put our pepper sauce on the top and let them finish baking. So here you can see this is kind of my holding area. I've got my pitas on the top warming up. We've got our stuffed onions. I wouldn't say they're the most beautiful thing, but they are so good. And we have our meat. And I was just making sure that the towels weren't burning or anything. The oven was pretty low and they were just fine. Now everything has so much flavor when it came to these green beans because I picked them the day before or 2 days before. Some of them I picked that day. I did not put anything on them except a little bit of butter and a little bit of salt. I steamed them lightly, and I just wanted there to be something that wasn't quite as flavorful. I don't know if that even makes sense. Just something to kind of calm the palate and be just fresh and crunchy. I did not cook them till they were completely soft. They were tender, but not super soft. just to add a different color to the plate and to add a different texture and flavor. Once the potatoes were super, super crunchy, I took them out of the oven and I added parsley and cilantro and green onions. I tossed the potatoes with the herbs so that they would kind of wilt a little bit. I didn't want them completely raw, but I didn't want them completely cooked. So I just kind of tossed them in it so that they could just gently wilt. And then I'm going to put these potatoes on my platter. And my dad does not like anything that is white. So I did leave some off this platter so that he could have, when I mean white, he doesn't like yogurt, he doesn't like sour cream, he doesn't like mayo, he doesn't like ranch. And I knew that, so I wanted him to have some that didn't have any of the sauce on it. And that worked out perfect because I left enough because one of my nieces also did not like the yogurt sauce. And it's not offensive to me if someone doesn't like something I cook. I am totally okay with anybody trying or not trying or enjoying or saying no thank you to whatever I cook. And if I need to make little accommodations, I am happy to do that. So I did leave some of these potatoes without the sauce, and that ended up being perfect. My sister and brother-in-law and my other sister are in the room with me, and they wanted to know what I put on these potatoes, so that's why I grabbed the jar of harissa. My sister said she was just looking at it at the store and she almost bought it, and she regrets not buying it, so next time she goes to the store, she's gonna get it. When I was checking out, the cashier was telling me that he makes peach harissa wings, and I thought, oh my gosh, that sounds so good. It is peach season. I'm gonna have to make that. I'm probably not gonna do wings, but I have drumsticks that have been in my freezer and I need to get those out. And so I think I'm gonna do a peach harissa drumstick that I like fillet open. You'll see when I end up making it, but I'm excited for that recipe. So here I'm topping all of my different dishes with herbs. I end up putting dill on the beef, and that was so good. Normally I would plate the beef on something else, but I just plated the beef in the pot. And here I'm going to show you what the whole dinner looks like coming together. We have our pita bread, we have our stuffed onions. Again, so good, so good. The beef was probably one of my favorite braised beefs I have ever made to date. The onion and the the shallot and the vinegar and all of that together just came together so well. The thyme was really good. It was a little bit on the spicy side. The garlic that I got was pretty spicy, and so it was not everyone's favorite. But I'm glad I had two sauces to choose from, and that's why I definitely think that I should have made double of the yogurt sauce. But I am still using that thyme. I think it's delicious. Half the people, I would say, loved it. The other half thought it was a little too garlicky. And that's okay. That is totally fine with me for people to have their own opinions on the meal. So here people are starting to dish up, and this is what makes my heart happy right here. People enjoying the food that I spent time cooking for them. This is what my plate looked at like. And then one thing that is amazing about my family, and I hope to be like them when I grow up, is my sisters, my dad, and my mom completely did all the dishes, put all the food away, put away all the table decorations, and my house was clean when they left. It was absolutely incredible. The only thing I had to do the next day was put away the hand wash dishes and unload the dishwasher. My dad even hand washed all the dishes, and they are a huge blessing to me. So now let's find out the gender of the baby.
You're gonna lift it straight up?
Yep.
Everybody sees it at the same time.
We are so excited. We would have been happy if we had a boy or a girl, but we are just over the moon that the baby is healthy and that we are going to be expecting our second. And I want to thank my family for cleaning up after this delicious dinner. This dinner was incredible and delicious, and it was just such a wonderful time having all my family here to be able to not only just spend time together because everyone is in the same area, but also to kind of celebrate this really big, exciting next step for Josh and I. My family is incredible. They cleaned up my kitchen. All the dishes are done. Oh, well, I was just gonna take the garbage out because the garbage was full and it looks like the dogs got into it while I was outside. But what I wanted to show you, that's the reality of having dogs that are curious. They got all the hand washing dishes done. The dishwasher is going. The folding table's put away. All the decorations are put away. And now all I have to do is clean up after the dogs. But that is a small price to pay when my family basically did all the work to get this cleaned up for me. But friend, I just want to thank you for being here along the journey of this thing we call life. And we're so excited and I'm just so grateful. So thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this, let me put some other videos here, but you can go enjoy between now and my next upload. The next video you are going to see is going to be basically the whole first trimester of how I've been doing in one little video. You're gonna see again, Josh and I finding out, all the way to where we are today, which is 14 weeks. And if you wanna watch more videos of mine, let me pop them there. You can go enjoy between now and my next upload. I hope you are having a fantastic day and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye friends.